Well, hello. We're getting ready to start this sheet metal bird feeder, which is a little bit different because things are round, and we've done a lot of square things, sawhorse brackets and tool trays, but we haven't done anything that's round. So I need to make two parts. I need to make this can, which is the centerpiece, and I need to make this rim, which goes around. And both of those get the same treatment. I've got two pieces laid out here on my bench. One's a 2 by 22 3/4, and the other is 6 by 11 inches. All right, you can consult your plans for those measurements. In part 2, once I get the rim made, then I need to put this bottom on the rim by crimping it all the way around. All right, so we'll do that in a separate video. We're going to do this one, and we'll be moving around quite a bit. So first thing, we want to start over at the roller with the turning dies. So let's take our piece and we'll come over here. Here is our rotary machine, and this rotary machine is equipped with turning dies. We'll be using a few different kinds of dies, so feel free to pay attention or take notes. If you look close, you can see that this wheel on the top, these are the dies, top and bottom. So that one's rounded. That's what makes that the turning dies. And this is my first step in a process. I've got a little fence set right here. So when I run this, my metal is going to be right against the fence. No need for a line or anything of that sort. I'm simply going to hold it with a fence. And you notice,
warning,
I'm wearing gloves. I don't want to have my hand on the sharp edge and have it slide without a glove. That's not going to be a good day. All right, so gently, I just want to put a little bit of pressure on this with the die. You can see right here in the detail how it's barely leaving a mark. So I'm going to run this all the way through, nice and careful, holding it against the fence, and of course I'm turning the crank with my other hand. No power equipment here. So there we go. You can barely see I've made a line there. Alright, so I'll tighten this top adjustment about a 1/4 of a turn, and I'm going to make another pass. You can see it a little bit more now, starting to take shape. And this first part that I'm doing is I'm creating a bead with these turning dies. I'll turn it another 1/4 turn here. Every pass I'm going to turn the top crank about a 1/4 of a turn. This first operation I'm doing is for a wire to make a nice wired edge or a rolled edge. It's a good quality trademark of a lot of sheet metal work. That way it won't be sharp. I don't want any birds getting hurt. I just want to feed them. So you notice I'm raising my hand. This sheet metal is not level anymore. It's starting to become almost vertical. I'm going to end probably about 80 degrees or so. You can see the bead that I'm getting on the other side. Don't worry about this not being flat anymore. It'll straighten right out as soon as I start laying that wire in there. I'm going to go one more pass. I don't want to tighten this all the way up. If I tighten it all the way up and it's too much pressure, I don't leave enough room for the thickness of my sheet metal, this will actually cut it off, and then I've got to start all over. So I don't want to go that much, just to create a nice little bead. So I don't know if you're counting, but I lost track of how many passes that was as I was talking there. There's a nice bead. Okay, so now my next mission is I want to tuck a wire down in this bead that I just made, but I need to hammer this flap a little bit. I just want to leave it open so I can get a wire in there, and that's open a little too far. So I'm going to hammer that down first. So we'll go right over here. I've got some tools laid out. Tools that I'll be using for this project. I'll slide these forward. And I'm going to hammer right on the edge here. I'm going to hammer this lip closed. Now, be very careful. Don't smash the bead. Just want to hammer that lip closed. All right? So here we go. Just catching the edge with my hammer. I don't want to hammer the bead closed. So there we go. That's a lot better. It's a little closer than what I had. All right, so now I've got to get a piece of wire, and I want to tuck that in there. We'll bring you over here. There we go. All right. And I've got a piece of wire off this spool. This spool is going to take a little bit of patience. You can see it wasn't well cared for. So take your time, unravel a piece of wire, but I've got a piece that's long enough for my work, so that'll be just fine. I'm going to start over here. And it might be handy to use a flat blade screwdriver to hold that wire in place as you gently close that flap. There we go. So I've just got it started right there, if you can see that. I didn't hammer the bead closed. The wire's in there. All right, so I'm going to continue that process, working down my piece. Make sure the wire's tucked back in there. Again, just using the edge of the hammer head. I don't want to smash the bead closed. We just want to lock the wire in. Don't try to make it too pretty. I'm going to show you another step. That'll straighten all that out. We just want to get the wire locked in there. I'm looking along down in here to make sure there's no wire poking out, and I don't see any, so we're doing a good job here. Almost done. Oh, this got smashed closed. We'll just use the screwdriver and open them up a little bit. There we go. All right. I'll be able to hold that in with my finger. Alright, so now I've got to cut it loose because my wire's still connected to that reel. So I'll just use some snips. Cut that loose. I left a little bit of wire hanging out the end. That's not a big deal. So there we go. But you can see it's not very smooth. Pretty lumpy. I didn't smash my bead closed. That's still the shape I want it from the turning dies. So we're going to slide over here. Now that our wire is locked in somewhat, we're going to come over to the wiring dies. We'll adjust this up a little bit. There we go. So there's our wiring dies. And this bottom die, you see it has kind of a notch or a rounded edge because that's where my bead is going to ride, right in there like that. Okay? So I'm just going to guide this. It doesn't have a fence. Well, it does. There's a fence way back here for other operations. But I'm just going to guide this by hand, and ideally I want to run this top die right behind my bead. You can adjust the pressure with the top crank up here. Can't see that. Let's see, up here. That's how I'm adjusting the pressure. All right. So I am just nice and slowly running this through there, and you will see it will take all those lumps out between your hammer marks. Oh, I slid off. I'll start over. But you can see what I did. So that's nice and smooth here. And then right about down here somewhere I fell off the track. So let's try it again. Not a big deal. We'll just try it again. You might have to go a couple passes. There we go. So this top wheel ideally is riding on 2 layers of sheet metal right behind that bead, and it's smashing all those little hammer marks closed to neaten that up. So that way we'll have a nice tight wired edge. Okay, does that look better? And you can check it by pulling on the wire. The wire should be firmly locked in there. Yep, can't move that at all. Okay? Nice and tight, 2 layers of sheet metal all the way down. Right here, I could run a little bit more. I see a space there. So I don't have to start from the beginning. I can loosen this up and set my wheel right on there if I don't want to start all the way from the beginning. Then I'll tighten that back up. There we go. All right, so it took those bubbles out that I had there. Okay, so now we've got to prepare 2 things. We've got to prepare for, we're going to roll this into a circle. The rim was a circle. And when we're done, we want to crimp the seam, the ends, together. So how are we going to crimp that? Thinking forward here, how are we going to crimp that? Well, we're going to use one of these tools. This is a hand groover. You see the groove in the middle. And there's a couple different sizes. This happens to be a number 2. If we can get it to focus there. See the number 2? All right, so I like the number 2 because it's the middle size. There's also a 0, which is larger, and a 4, which is very small, probably too small for our metal work. But if you measure the groove in the middle, then that is the amount that I want to be bending on the outsides. So let me lay that out for you. If I take my pencil and I mark this out, then I want to take my square Here's my line there. That's the amount I want to be bending. Okay? That matches the hand groover, the number 2. So when I'm done, I want to go back to my number 2 hand groover. I can't switch sizes. If I laid this out for number 2, I have to use a number 2 when I'm done. I also want to do the same thing on this side, but I want to flip my piece. I want one on each, I guess it would be the face of the sheet metal. So I'm going to do that over here too. I've got that marked out, and I want to mark with my square. If you don't use a square and this angle goes crooked, you're not going to get a circle. It'll be more like a teardrop or something of that sort. All right? Lastly, before I bend this, I want to remove my wired edge on the corner, because that's just going to get in my way. I'll have wired edge here and wired edge here. It'll be too much in the crimp. So I need to trim that off, and I'm simply going to use a pair of hand snips. And I'm going to snip approximately a 45-degree angle. Doesn't have to be exact, but I want to make sure that I cut back to my wired edge. There we go, just like that. Okay? Just cut that back to my line, maybe just a little behind my line. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Trim that back just a little bit behind my 45-degree line. This is my rim, so I'm not going to have a very big crimp anyway. This one's real important. If I cut too much of this, if I cut that angle way down, I'm not going to have much of a crimp here. And that's not going to hold my piece together when I'm done, when I'm trying to hammer the bottom on. All right, so now I've got to go to the brake. Let's go to the brake over here. Over to the brake. You know how to use the brake. You've used it many times before. All right. So here's my line. I'm just going to slip that under the jaw on one end. Like a hem, I'm going to turn this as far as it will go. So I'm not stopping at 90. There we go. There's one side. And remember, the other side goes opposite, so I already put my lines there. Hopefully I don't make a mistake. I need one bend each direction on each face. Well, there's my line. All right. Again, as far as it'll go. Okay, there we go. Now we're ready for the slip roll, which is going to roll this into a cylinder. Let's go to the slip roll. There we are. Here's our friend, the slip roll. Lots going on here. The slip roll is simply a cluster. Let's see if you can see it right there. There's 3 rolls. You can see 2 in the front, the upper and lower roll in the front, and then it also has this back roll here. And the back roll is what's putting all the pressure. That's what's going to make this a circle. All right, but if I look, remember that last step that I just did? I created this nice wired edge. Well, the only way this is going to work is if I can lay that wired edge in these wiring grooves here. So I have one slip roll that has wiring grooves. If we come over here and we look at this other slip roll, I've got a second slip roll, but look at this. No wiring grooves. No wiring grooves. So it would smash my nice wired edge. It would smash that flat in order to roll this a cylinder. So can't use that one. I'm gonna have to use this one over here. All right, so let's get this set up. When I put this in, I'm going to open the hatch right here, and I'm going to actually hold this with my fingers and lift that up. All right, be very careful. These are quite heavy, and if you drop that on your fingers, that's going to hurt. So make sure you got a good firm grip on it. And I can't just feed it in there because I've got this bend on the end, so that's not going to work. All right, I've got to open and set my metal in there like so. Then I can close the hatch or the latch, whatever you prefer. All right, as I start to roll, I don't see a lot going on, so I need to adjust my back pressure on my rolls. Let me put you on the back side here for a second. We'll come around here, and there you can see that's what I'm adjusting the back roll with. And there's one over here on the other side, way over here. So you've got to turn those approximately the same amount each time you're going around with the slip roll. So let's see. How about right there? Let's see if we can make a cylinder out of this. Oh, there. You can see it starting to take shape now. Yep. Quite a bit of curvature in the sheet metal there. Let's continue. I'm coming all the way down. I don't want to smash my bend closed. I'll come all the way back the other way, make sure I went all the way to the end. That's as far as I can go. I'll adjust my back roll. I'll do another pass. If I do this right, both of my ends are going to hook. That's what I was looking for. That's why I did one bend on each face of the sheet metal. All right, so here we go. Oh, we're getting close now. It's starting to look like a circle. Almost. Oh, they're almost touching. Look at there. Almost touching. So I'm going to go just a little bit more. I made a very small adjustment, and I could make another very small adjustment. Let's see if we can get these to hook. Oh, there we go. We've got a cylinder now. Okay, so now I want to get this out of the slip roll. I probably need to back off the back roll first, raise the latch, and take my metal out. So there we go. Look at that. So now I've got a ring. These two are locking. And now I'm ready to crimp these closed. Okay? So there's a couple things we could do. We could use a round stake, or we could go to the anvil. The anvil has a nice horn on it. That works really good. Let's try it at the stake. Well, looks like there's no stake here. I'm gonna have to drop one in. Let's go fishing underneath. This should do. There's a nice place to fasten our seam together. All right, so that's gonna go right up there. And I'm gonna crimp that down with, what number did I use before? That's right, it was a number 2. That number 2 tool. hand groover it is. Okay, so I want to make sure this is held tight. Might even need a friend, a third hand, but I don't have any friends here tonight, so I'll try to hold it best I can. And here's my hammer. Let's crimp it down.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
Okay, so you can see what it did there. It started to make this second side. This was my bend over here, but this side, when that locks down, that tells me that I got a good crimp. So it started and then it disappeared, so I need to slide my tool up a little bit. Let's do a little more. I can even spin it around here.
Self-destruct sequence activated. 3, 2, 1.
There we are. That's crimped down. You can see underneath here that I've got 4 layers of metal. And where I notched it, see, it almost touched. But that's okay. I'll just file that smooth. All right, so there's my rim, my wired edge, my cylinder, and my crimp seam. Next time I'll put the bottom on this. These are all the same steps you're going to do with the can too. All right, that 6x11 piece. So follow these steps, make 2 parts, make your rim, make your canister, and I'll see you next time when we crimp the bottom on. Good luck.